Sometimes bumpers have a little section at the bottom that is separated from the main portion of the bumper. All right, and sometimes these are plastic, so you don't have to wrap them, but sometimes you do. So in this version, what you're going to see two different versions. One, to wrap them with the main piece that you wrap the bumper with, and two, to wrap it separate, pick it up and pull it off separate. If you have a gap, and again it depends on the color that you're putting on the vehicle, the color of the vehicle, but in this case the vehicle is a metallic gloss gray and the material going on is a matte metallic gray. So in this I feel comfortable to bridging this area, and again you have to, based on the type of film, and this is a really good cast film that I'm putting on, I feel comfortable bridging this area and then slowly working it into this groove or this area where it's separated top to bottom. And I'm forming it in, and you can use an application glove with soap and water, or you can do a little white trash that I'm doing right now, and you could kind of form it with your squeegee and then lick your finger and glide it in. Use a little bit of heat, and notice my heat is just giving it enough heat to kind of conform, but not too hot where it bunches. But what I'm doing is the whole entire area I'm setting up uniformly to that gap. Okay? And there's no way that I can form the film into that gap and it's going to stay for 3 years. Again, recessed area is all about depth, width, and angle, and that's just way too narrow, too deep. So again, based on where the viewer is looking, I'm going to cut on the high side of this gap. Focus. So I'm going to cut on the high side of the gap, and then I'm going to form it in. And by cutting on the high side, it is going to reveal the body of the paint by about maybe 2 millimeters, or maybe about a 32nd of an inch at the top. But because I do it slightly around the corner, notice how I'm not cutting right on the edge, I'm cutting slightly around the corner. From straight on, or even if I get down a little low, it still looks matte gray. Alright, so it's really critical how, but I'm also really critical on where. Same thing I do on the sides. Just try to do it in a way that the viewer is not going to see it. The sides were a little more mellow on the angle, so I feel comfortable there, but if you look back, it looks totally matte gray. Really key. And by cutting at the top, that's essentially a relief cut. And then I just go back with my squeegee and look how easily it glides into that groove. So it's really critical to get that set up properly, because for me I feel very comfortable that I'm getting the quality that I want, but I'm also doing it in such a way that I know I'm going to get durability as well. I'm not going to slather this with an adhesive promoter and jam it in there and think it's going to stay, or there's no film in the world that can handle going into a recessed area like that that's kind of wide and then it gets super narrow there. Again, make that relief cut, tuck it in nice and easy with a squeegee, super clean. Go back with the heat gun and make sure it's nice and sealed. Now here's a different approach that you can use, is you're going to wrap the bumper, and see as the bumper here is broken up in two sections and it goes all the way around to the side in this case. So you have the top main piece and then you got the bottom piece here. Okay, and it's a really steep angle, then it goes in nice and deep. Okay, so instead of trying to do this in one piece and heat it in like I just showed you, here's the different approach. Is you get the panel set up for the back, make any trimming that you need to do to make the panel easier to put on. Make sure you got enough material top and bottom. And in this type of approach, where we're going to use the extra material at the bottom to cut it out and put it back down, you want to make sure you have extra material near the bottom so you can play with it a little bit. So again, apply the bumper as normal. Right? Obviously 2 installers is best. One installer kind of pulls at a 45 degrees, the other pulls at a straight around. So 45 degrees out of the top and bottom, form it around nice and even. Mark, the wrap monkey, is helping me on this one. So once I get it on, you wrap the main body, the main portion together. Or however, if you're working by yourself, you work it by yourself. But again, you get the main portion on. Make sure the corners are good, life is great. And so what you want to do now, once you got the main part on, is you want to make a relief cut and separate top and bottom. And you want to separate it and give yourself about an extra ½ inch or an extra centimeter of film. So once you make that cut on the bottom portion, you slide the material in so you get full coverage at the top. So there's no tension in it. You're never going to bridge this area here. And I'll speed it up a little bit just because it's going to be the whole bumper here. But again, what you're doing is you feed it in and you tuck and cut this. So you bridge it, and this cut doesn't have to be perfect. You just kind of click your blade, make my cut out, because this excess is getting cut off. So don't worry about making a perfect cut. Just make the cut, glide it in, tuck it to the corner, cut it out. Bridge it, cut it, make the relief cut, glide the material in. And again, use that triangle technique, squeegee away, away, away. You don't need heat to pull it down. Again, at the bottom, you never bridge it and force it in, you tuck it in, always. Once you got it in that groove, the tip of my knife is in the groove nice and clean, and you cut and remove the excess material away. And basically what you've done is, or you want to do, is you want to separate this piece, and now you got this extra piece that you're going to pick up and then lay down in this area nice and clean with glass. So what I like about this approach in particular is you separate it so you can, instead of having a lot of tension, which can happen when you're trying to wrap the bumper top and bottom here, if you can separate it because there's a natural break on the bumper, you can relax the material, especially into this kind of recessed area here, but you can also relax it around the tricky bottom corners where there's generally a lot of tension if you're trying to wrap this bumper in one piece. So for here I can pick the material up and evenly and methodically pull it around down to the bottom. And again, one tip that I recommend for this is, this is obviously a paint wrap, trying to make the bumper white, is that you can also, mix and match the material here, where you can make the top portion white and make this bottom section carbon or matte black or some other color too. So you don't have to use the same color, but in this case the client wanted the car white, and I'll speed it up a little bit here so you get the idea, is that you pick it up, pull with glass, tuck it down. Pick it up, tuck it in. So again, you're working the material evenly, methodically. Wrap underneath the bumper however far you need. But obviously the main point of this video is how to tuck it into the top nice and clean. So by separating it, you get that quality, but you don't lose any durability because you tucked into the top and the bottom of this section. Super critical. Feed it in, you did all of the right steps, and now you're good to go. So either bridge it, make a relief cut up high, or separate it and put it down in two separate pieces. And remember, the trick for this is, first off, you got to see in sections. See those separations on the bumper. Don't see the bumper as one bumper, see it as two if there are two sections. And again, make a good choice. Make a good choice based on the color of the vehicle, the color of the material you're putting on, and also make a good judgment based on the material in terms of how far it can stretch or not. Some films are more flexible than others, and make symmetrical cuts if you're using the approach where you're trying to wrap the bumper in one piece, so that when you cut on top it's nice and clean and straight, because symmetry hides. If you have asymmetry, it definitely stands out. So you can get away with wrapping in one piece if you have symmetrical cuts. And always finish properly. Always tuck and cut. Make sure you get to those edges, whether it's putting on one piece or separating it and putting on as two pieces. Finish properly. All right, bumpers are always tricky. If you finish properly, not only do you get durability, but you also get good, clean coverage, so you don't come up short. There's no, you don't have any the paint showing from the bumper. All right, so always take your time, finish properly on the top and also underneath. Thanks for watching. I'm Justin Pate.